Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I am Jamila and I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup, I love all things skincare, and I especially love sharing my tips and tricks for how to find high-end and luxury beauty products at bargain prices. Yes, we do. If that sounds like something you are interested in, I would absolutely love if you would consider subscribing and joining the family. Alright, y'all clicked on it, so you already know what it is. I am going to be ranking the last 10 eyeshadows that I've tried. I actually got this idea from watching Dr. Ash and her makeup. I'll make sure and link her channel either in the cards or somewhere. Can I do that? I'll link her channel down below in the description box for you guys. Absolutely amazing. Go check her out. She loves eyeshadow and she tries a lot of eyeshadow. So what I appreciate that she does is that after she does her first impressions videos, she comes back like a couple of weeks or even like a month later and then ranks all of the eyeshadows that she's tried, just to give us another sense of, you know, I've been using these palettes for a month, here's how I really feel about them, and here's how I would place them in order. So I have decided that that's what I'm gonna do. I feel like I talked about this a couple of videos ago, but y'all already know I have a basket of shame. Like, I have an eyeshadow basket of shame. I actually purchased a ton of eyeshadow in 2021 that till this day, and we are at the end of February of 2022, I just have not finished using. So I've actually spent the last 2 months really trying eyeshadow that I have in my collection, and I've tried 10 palettes so far. So I thought that I would come here and give you guys my thoughts, my honest and raw feelings about these palettes. Most, if not all of these palettes I've tried more than once, so I've gotten a really good sense of them. I haven't necessarily filmed with all of them, but I have posted pictures on my Instagram. I know I don't say that enough, but I wear makeup like pretty much 4 to 5 days a week, and I will post my looks on Instagram. So that's a good way for you to see what I'm doing, because I don't necessarily film every single look that I do. So I've tried these palettes multiple times. I've taken pictures of them. I'll try to insert them throughout the video, maybe, because that's, we'll see. Let me stop making promises. I don't know if I'm gonna keep, if I can, I'll try to insert them if I can find them. If not, check me out on Instagram. But let's dive into these palettes. I've picked 10, the last 10 palettes that I've tried over the last 2 months. So we're just gonna dive in and I'm gonna let you know how I rank them. Quick disclaimer, they're all kind of pretty good. So this is kind of just where they fell. I really do enjoy all of them, so I had to put them somewhere. And my opinion, my thoughts on this ranking could change tomorrow, today. You already know. All right, let's get started. So coming in at number 10, this is probably the only palette that I actually did not enjoy, and that is the Bobbi Brown Molten Drama palette. This I picked up at the cosmetics company store. It was during the 6 for $60 sale, so you had to pick up 6 products from 6 different brands, and then the entire purchase was $60, making each product $10 a piece. So I picked this up from Bobbi Brown, and I was real disappointed in this. I have a palette from Bobbi Brown. It's the blue one. I can't remember the name, but it is stunning. It is one of my absolute favorite palettes. So I went in thinking that this was going to be the same formula, and this is going to perform like the bomb diggity. But these shadows were just, I don't know, like the formula had to be different because the quality was a hot mess, complete trash. Like, the shades have so little pigment to them that I was trying to put them on my eyes and they just wouldn't show up. And I did not experience that with my other Bobbi Brown palette. So I remember using this palette, you know, one day, because I wear my palettes to work, and I was just like, what is going on? I'm digging into these shadows, I'm trying to get these shades to pick up, and then I'm putting it on my eyelids, and it's so transparent that it's just not working out. It was such a mess. I didn't even take a picture of my look that day because I just didn't like how it came out, and that is because there was absolutely no pigmentation. The mattes performed okay, they blended out totally fine, but there was just no pigment to these shimmers, and I couldn't deal. This is definitely not a palette that I think I'm gonna go keep because I really did not enjoy the way in which this performed. Coming in at number 9, it pains me to say this because this is my absolute favorite brand, and it's Pat McGrath and Bridgerton collab. Oh Lord, I actually did film a look with this. I'm not sure if it'll be up before this video. If it is, I'll link it. But I was real disappointed, like real disappointed in this, because It's another pink palette with shades that we've seen before. Yes, the embossing in here is really cute. You got some nice bees or whatever. And yes, we do get an astral shade that is a blue shade, which is not typical for Mama Pat. But together, I just didn't like this. Like, this blue astral shade would have been perfect if it was next to the blue from Mothership 1, you know? This blue in the middle of this pink palette just seems, one, a little bit out of place. And very one-trick pony. I think Dr. Ash said it best when she said this is a one-trick pony palette. It's a pink palette with a pop of blue. Like, cover the blue, and this is a basic pink palette. Like, I just wasn't impressed with this. Yes, the quality is perfectly fine. This is made in Italy. Even the packaging, I think, is kind of cheap in this. I was just real, like, irritated by this whole palette because I felt like it just didn't give me what it was supposed to give. And I get real excited by Mama Pat. I get real excited for her releases. I always feel like I enjoy putting on her eyeshadow because it blends like a dream. It gives you that extra pop. It does what it needs to do. But this was just a disappointment. Is the quality bad? Absolutely not. It is Pat McGrath's quality. Top notch. And her Italian formula at that. So the quality isn't bad. It just was underwhelming considering the other Pat McGrath products I have in my collection. And what makes this even more disappointing is because I have such a large collection of Pat McGrath products, like I have all of her motherships, I think I have almost all of her quads, and I have way too many of her, like, I have too many Pat McGrath palettes. I have over 20 Pat McGrath palettes. I have a wide enough collection to choose from that that's going to be at the very bottom of my list when it comes to choice, so it hurt my soul just a little bit. It's not bad quality, but it wasn't giving what I needed it to give. And I knew it wasn't going to give that. I don't know why I bought it knowing that it wasn't supposed to give that, but you all know I collect Mama Pat palettes. So I'm like having this whole like weird conniption and this process in my head that's like, but you knew what you were getting into, Jamila. You decided to buy this anyway, knowing that it was not going to be what you wanted it to be. Whew. Getting stressed out. Okay, I think that's the last palette that stressed me out in this ranking. So let's talk about palette number 8. So coming in at number 8 is the Disney, why do I call it the Disney? It's the Disney Encanto palette from Alamar Cosmetics. This was actually a really fun palette. Like I said, I got this as a birthday gift from my sister. I do have a video using this. I will link it up below. It is really, really beautiful. It is very, very aligned with the color of the story if you watch the movie. So I think that it's perfectly appropriate for the movie. And the shadows in here performed well. I thought that the mattes were a little bit on the dry, powdery side, which I was kind of disappointed by. And to be honest, they look a lot deeper than they show up on the eye. So I would have liked at least one deeper shade to deepen things up. The shimmers were stunning, but they were all kind of the exact same shimmer. It was the same shimmer formula. You didn't get anything special, anything spectacular. This is an Italian formula, which I was kind of confused by because I expected a little bit more. But they were pretty. They were nice. I got a really beautiful look. It was like very butterfly-ish. And I really enjoyed that look. And I enjoyed using this palette. But it's just that I have other palettes that I used this month that I enjoyed more. But overall, I am not mad that I have this. I'm actually very happy that I have this. And I am 100,000% going to get so much use out of it. This shade Casita, oh my god. It is probably my favorite shade in this whole palette. It is the perfect like champagne rose gold color. It would actually be a really nice highlighter too. Really, really stunning. So happy I have this palette. I know that it's discontinued now because it was a limited release or limited edition release. But I'm pretty sure you could probably find this on like Poshmark or Mercari if you were really interested in picking it up. Coming in at number 7 is the Sydney Grace and Temptalia Radiant Reflection Palette in Deep. There is nothing bad I have to say about this palette. Like, and I'm actually kind of sad that this is coming in at number 7 because I actually really enjoy this palette. I bought the entire Sydney Grace collection. This was actually the one that I was most excited for, so I was pretty surprised when, after receiving it, it ranked so low. But I think it ranked this low because of the fact that these colors don't necessarily inspire me. Now, when I look at this palette, you know, you get like 3 really nice blues, you get some greens, a gold, But then when you cover like these 6 shades, this is a very mauve 6-pan on this side. It's a beautiful 6-pan, but very mauve. And then you have like blues and greens. So I felt like, one, I have all of these mauve shades already, and I wasn't really like, I don't know, something about this, I was just like, oh, this is cute, but I thought I was gonna like it more than I did, because when I saw it in pictures, I really liked it. This shade, Our Starry Night, is not my favorite blue, and I love blue eyeshadow, but it's definitely not my favorite blue. So I like so here are like the blues from the palette. I prefer my blues to be more of that royal blue, that rich blue, which is in the other 2 palettes, I think. So these did not speak to me the way that the others did. And then you have that basic yellow gold. I was just like, okay. It's not a bad palette by any means. The quality in Sydney Grace shadows are just like so good. The mattes blend like a dream. The shimmers are just, it's so good. What I did enjoy is this green. Like, this is a stunning, absolutely stunning green shade. So the green did what it needed to do. Like, that is a beautiful green. Okay, so the Sydney Grace, the Radiant Reflection palette, that came in at number, what is it, 7? Came in at number 7. And that is in the deep shade. I bought all of the palettes in deep. Coming in at number 6 is the Adept Cosmetics Kodan palette. I remember how much I wanted this palette. I remember being at the gym and leaving the gym, completely forgetting that this palette was launching, and literally driving home, pulling to the side of the road so that I could buy this palette. I literally pulled my car over because I was like, oh shit, this is launching, I'm about to miss it. So I pulled to the side of the road and was like, let me buy this. Hot mess. Anyways, it is a beautiful palette. I waited like months to get this palette, and then when it finally came, took months to use it. So that's on me. This is absolutely stunning. The Adept Cosmetics shimmers require a little bit of a learning curve. They are definitely on the more chunky side, but they have crazy impact. I am in some ways intimidated by how impactful these shadows are, because I don't necessarily want that level of impact all the time. The reason why this ranks a little bit lower is because of the fact that I don't understand the mattes in this palette. So you get a pink matte and then you get a green matte, and I was like, how am I supposed to use this? How am I supposed to pair things together? And sure, somebody with a more creative eye than me could probably look at this palette and be like, okay, I see this, I'll put this here, and then, you know, I wasn't able to do that. I was like, could I get a brown? Could I get a black? Like, could I get some kind of neutral matte that could help me pull a look together? I really struggled with this, because then you have these 2 shades here that are satins that I would have preferred if these were mattes, because I think that they have that sort of neutral undertone or like color that would allow me to make looks better. But they're they're satins, but very shimmery satins. So they're not like the Pat McGrath shimmers. Well, not like the Pat McGrath shimmers where if you blend it out, it can be like a matte shade. These were super satin and honestly super shimmery when I blended it out. So I struggled with this palette because I felt like I didn't have the mattes that I needed to actually create a look. But that being said, the shimmers in this palette are so high impact. Like, so high impact. They were just absolutely stunning. And because they are on the like chunky side, I felt like there was a little bit of me figuring out how to apply this, how to layer it down so that it would be a little bit smoother when I applied it. So after like the 2nd or 3rd try, I was like, okay, now I think I understand these shadows. Now I think I know how to apply it. I don't know if you guys can tell, but the center shade is a duochrome / multi-chrome, so it definitely shifts. You can see that purple to green shift. Really, really beautiful. So that is palette number 6. Really, really nice formula if you like those high impact indie shadows. I think that this is absolutely stunning. Just know that if you that you may end up reaching into other matte shadows if that pink and that green shade aren't enough for you, because they weren't for me. I felt like I really could not get complete looks with just those two matte shades, so I had to dip into another palette. Okay, coming in at number 5 is the Sydney Grace and Temptalia On the Horizon palette. This is again a part of the trio release. This is the more cool toned, or the most cool toned palette from the collection. And I really enjoyed this more than I thought that I was going to. This was the one that I was probably the least interested in because it is a more cool toned color story. But stunning. The shade Phoenix Awakens is this really beautiful copper shade. I absolutely love copper eyeshadow. Flying High is this lovely blue-green shade that I think is really stunning. And I felt like you got really nice trios in this palette. So when you look at it, you got like this trio of greens, blues, this mauve, like this like neutral shade. I felt like you got 4 very clear color stories that you could create really beautiful looks with like 3 shades and you're done, you know? So I really enjoyed that this was a cool toned palette that I could wear and that would look really nice on my complexion. The only thing that I did not like about this palette, and this is entirely my fault, nothing to do with Sydney Grace or Temptalia, is that the mattes in this palette are too deep for me. I can't even believe that I'm saying that. I love that Sydney Grace includes a light and a deep option for folks, but I can admit that these mattes are a little too deep for me. This shade here, what is it? October Odyssey, which is the transition shade. Like, I need something a little bit lighter than that as my transition shade. So I have to like reach into another like single shade or another palette for it. But I don't mind because, you know, every other color in here is absolutely stunning. And I should have just looked at these shades better when I was buying and picked up the light instead of picking up the deep. And then coming in at number 4, we have the third and final palette in the Sydney Grace and Temptalia collab. And that is the Quintessence Deep. This is so freaking beautiful. This I just could not get enough of. The greens in this palette are absolutely stunning. And these 2 shades here, it's like purple and it's like purple blue shades. Listen, so freaking pretty. Let me see if I have room. Absolutely unbelievable. Like, they're just so stunning. And this purple shade is like a duochrome, so it has like a little bit of blue in there. It's just so stunning. I just felt the most connected to this color story. I felt the most inspired by this color story. The shade My Constellation is a really, really unique shade that I just don't have in my collection. Like, that is just, come on. I don't even Orion Nebula, which is that kind of red shade, like these shades, I felt like this palette was the most unique. It gave me some new and exciting shades that I don't necessarily have in my collection, and it really inspired me. And I saw so many looks immediately when I looked at this palette that I was like, wow. And again, this was also a palette that did not immediately speak to me, did not immediately call to me, but in person blew me away. So this is my favorite of the 3 Sydney Grace palettes, and this is definitely my number 4 from this ranking. Okay, so coming in at number 3 is a palette that definitely surprised me, and I really questioned this, and I moved this up and down so many times. This is the palette that I definitely rearranged the most because it is so underwhelming, but so beautiful. And that is the Pat McGrath Bronze Borealis Quad. It's so basic. Oh my god, it's so basic. Like, we have all of these colors 12 times over, but something about this quad just got me. So this came out in her holiday release. It is a part of a duo. There's another quad that I haven't tried just yet, and this actually reminds me a lot of the Venus in Fleurs, but less sparkly. So I do have the Venus in Fleurs quad, actually. So here's the Venus in Fleurs, the Voyeuristic Vixen, up against the Bronze Borealis. Now this one definitely has a more flaky texture. This one gives you a little bit more glimmer, a little bit more shimmer. This shade is definitely a duochrome. If you look in the mirror, you can see the difference in the shade. And this one is like the little sister to this, not only because it has smaller pans, but it's because it took the shimmer and just turned it down. Like it's like you just turn the volume down on this and you get this. And I really like this. I think that this is the perfect everyday palette. This gives that shimmer that people are going to be like, oh, your eyes look really beautiful, but it's not going to be distracting. And sometimes with Pat McGrath, because it can be so impactful, it can be a little bit distracting and not necessarily something that you would wear to like work/corporate settings if that's the kind of job that you have. But I feel like this turns it down enough that you get a really nice, soft, subtle, beautiful look, but not like Tom Ford or Chanel where it's like barely noticeable. This is noticeable where people are going to be like, oh girl, what you got on your eyes? But not like, okay, you're doing too much for work. So this, I didn't expect to really love it as much as I did, but I do. And what I love about Pat McGrath shadows is that, so this is the only matte in the quad, but in true Pat McGrath form, you can share this out to make it be as light as you want, and then use the same shade to deepen up the crease or deepen up the outer V. So it is very, very versatile, even though you only really get one matte shade. So that's number 3. Coming in at number 2 is the Nomad Whistler palette. This baby is everything. I have 4 looks on my IG that I did with this using basically all of the colors in this palette. I pretty much played around with all of the colors in this palette. They work well together. The Nomad mattes are absolutely amazing. This blue shade is deceiving. It definitely turns out teal on my complexion, which I'm beginning to learn that blue matte shades don't necessarily show up the same way in the pan as on my skin, and I don't know why that is, but I'm trying to learn more about how my yellow undertone changes the color of things. But that aside, all of these shades are amazing. All of them work well on deeper complexions. The shimmers here are stunning. They are just, this is just so beautiful. I can't gush about this enough. I absolutely love this palette. I had to tell myself, use something else. Like there was a point when this was all that I wanted to put on my eyes, and I literally had to tell myself, you need to reach for other palettes. You have other palettes you need to try. So if this is on your wish list, I would definitely recommend picking it up. There are so many creators that have codes, so make sure you check them out because you can get 10% off. But this fabulous palette. And to wrap up this video, coming in at number 1 is none other than the palette that I'm actually wearing on my eyes today. The Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. Hallelujah. The Natasha Denona Metropolis palette is a palette that has been on my wish list for years. And when I found out that it was being discontinued and I missed my opportunity to buy it, I was honestly very, very sad, a little depressed. I was like, damn, Natasha, this is how you gonna do us? And I stalked Poshmark and Mercari every day for months, literally from Black Friday up until I was able to find it on Poshmark for $135 brand new. Thank God this person was willing to sell it at a reasonable price and not price gouge. The original price of this palette is $129, I believe. So $135 is not too far off, so I was totally willing to pay it. I am seeing people selling this for like $300, and I'm not paying that. I'm not paying you $300 for a palette that costs $120. You must be crazy. So I picked it up. And I am so happy that I have this in my life. And to be honest, it does not disappoint. That is why it is my number 1 palette. It does not disappoint. The quality in here is really Natasha's, like good quality. The shadows are super high impact. These are the colors that I like. It's a blue, green, bronze color story. I love blue eyeshadow. I love green eyeshadow. And everybody loves neutral eyeshadow. So it is everything that I want in my palette. I created this really nice kind of orangey sunset look because I wanted to wear an orange lip, and this was the perfect palette for that. I went in with this red shade here, this kind of copper shade here, and also these 2 shimmers, and I went in with this matte, and this matte here. And it was a really simple look. Like I I just have so much fun with this palette. I also created a really nice green look using this that I did when I, and I'll link it here because I used the dupe Alter Ego palette as well, and I can't wait to touch the blue in this because it looks so good, so good. So you guys know this had to be my #1 palette. After lusting over this palette for so long, after literally hunting this palette down, it did not disappoint. It's absolutely amazing. It's my perfect color story, so I'm very happy that I have this in my collection, and this is my #1. Alright, I feel like this was a super long video. I apologize. But I hope you guys enjoyed kind of seeing what I'm trying, what I've been trying. I'm very slowly, but, you know, getting there. I'm trudging through my eyeshadow basket of shame and getting to use the palettes that I have not touched at all, and I'm really, really enjoying it. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you really, really like the video, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I love having you guys come back. I love seeing the channel grow. If you think that you have a friend that will like it, make sure you share this content with them so they can come on in and join the family. And I will be back with another ranking probably in a month or two. I still have a lot of new eyeshadow to try. As always, I love you guys. Thank you so very, very much for watching, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye!